What is going on, you all? Yesterday we had some great NBA matches. This is pretty much a part 2 of the Game 1 matches that are in this year's playoffs. We had the Portland Trailblazers versus OKC Thunder, the Indiana Pacers versus Boston Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Detroit Pistons, the Rockets versus the Jazz. So the Houston Rockets versus the Utah Jazz. What I'm going to be doing today is recapping what ended up happening, as well as, of course, what the final scores were and who was the most outstanding player that I saw in these games. So let's jump straight into it. So guys, the first game we start off with was the Portland Trailblazers versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. We have names like Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, Steven Adams, and Enes Kanter. These guys played a role in this Game 1 matchup. Now, Paul George ended up struggling most of the game. He may have a shoulder injury. I'm not quite sure. He just struggled shooting the ball the whole game. And, of course, Russell Westbrook made up for it with closer slashing buckets, ended up driving to the rim, scoring at will. But Enes Kanter used to play for Oklahoma City Thunder. He also used to play for the Knicks, but before the Knicks, he played for OKC, and he went off on his former team. It's interesting because Jusuf Nurkic, the center for the Portland Trailblazers, who got injured earlier this season, it was interesting. Enes Kanter filled in that role immediately, and it's amazing how what happens to someone else will affect you in some way. That's interesting. But let's jump into the Portland Trailblazer game versus OKC. Damian Lillard was hitting from the logo. He made over 3 30-foot threes, and the only other player to do that was Kevin Durant. That was amazing. In the past 20 seasons, I heard. That was just a fantastic shooting performance from Damian Lillard. And I believe that Damian Lillard and Russell Westbrook have a little bit of bad blood in the sense that Russell Westbrook wanted his teammate Paul George to be in the All-Star game last year, but Damian Lillard ended up taking his spot in that case. And it was just an interesting little back and forth between them two. Paul George struggling shooting. Like I said before, he was just struggling to shoot the ball, especially from the three-point range. Just struggling overall in the entire game. Rodney Hood on the Blazers. I did not see him get traded to the Portland Trailblazers, but it's interesting because I am seeing a lot of new things that I haven't seen all season in the playoffs, and it's interesting having Rodney Hood on the Blazers. He provides another dimension for the team in the sense that he can shoot the three ball and he can also play a little bit of defense. Not the greatest defender, but not bad at all. So it was an interesting sight. If you were surprised about that, let me know as well. And the Oklahoma City Thunder struggled from 3 early. It was just a barrage of threes that they kept on trying to put up, but they were just struggling from 3, and they were playing in Portland. So, hey, it was an interesting matchup in that sense, but, man, the Trailblazers, they were hitting their threes. I can tell you that. Enes Kanter making an impact. Like I said before, he had like 20 points and 18 rebounds, just had a fantastic game, man. He played his heart out and showed the Portland Trailblazer fans he is a great center off the bench, obviously, when Jusuf Nurkic is healthy, but he can start in the starting lineup as well. Russell Westbrook, I noticed in the game that he ended up slashing. What I mean by slashing is driving to the rim more than he was shooting. That's the Russell Westbrook we like to see in the sense that he is unstoppable. He will go to the rim at will and will get either the foul or he will dunk on your head. He is that type of player and one of the most explosive point guards still in the NBA right now. Like I said before, it was a terrible three-point shooting team. I cannot express this enough. They shot terribly from the three-point line in this game. Oklahoma City Thunder did. Enes Kanter clutch, offensive rebounds and late buckets. Enes Kanter, man, he was grabbing offensive rebounds over a player like Steven Adams. And Steven Adams is a heck of a rebounder. He's tenacious on the boards. He gets it. He pushes up the court to Russ or Paul, and they just run the break. They run transition. And it's just interesting seeing him literally not getting manhandled, but Enes Kanter just showing up in that Game 1 right there. And then we go to the leading scorer for the Thunder. Paul George was the leading scorer for OKC with 26 points, even though he struggled shooting the 3 points. Leading scorer for the Blazers was Damian Lillard. had a heck of a heck of a matchup, over 30 plus points, man. He had a heck of a game in this one, just scoring at will. Now that I think about it, let me make sure he did score over 30 plus, because I may have made the mistake in my notes. So let me just check real quick for you all, okay? Okay, so I was absolutely correct in my man scoring 30 points. That was in Damian Lillard, but the most rebounds on the team was Enes Kanter. He absolutely lit it up, 18 rebounds and 20 points. So not a bad game from Portland. They take game one, 104-99 at home against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So that is a good matchup there. It should be coming down to maybe 5 or 6, maybe even 7 games, but it should be interesting to see what Oklahoma City Thunder do in game 2. Moving on, we have the Indiana Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks. This was a good... Indiana Pacers and the Boston Celtics. I'm sorry. Both of them have similar jerseys. I'm sorry about that. Okay, Indiana Pacers versus Boston Celtics. I am looking at the Bucks, but I'm talking about the Celtics. That's weird. Okay, but what I've noticed from this game, especially in my notes, the Pacers had locked down defense for the first half pretty much, not allowing easy buckets. But then again, so did the Celtics. The Celtics played good defense as well, constantly getting to their man on the rotation after a screen had been set, just overall trying to contest as many shots as they could. I noticed that the Celtics and the Pacers both had transition buckets for the win. They would make a stop on defense and just run the break up the floor, whether it was Gordon Hayward or Kyrie Irving, or even for the Indiana Pacers main man Bogdanovich, as well as, of course, Miles Turner. Those players played good defense, and Thaddeus Young as well. Now that I think about it, he may be on the Trailblazers. I'm not sure about that, but I believe he is on the Pacers. I am talking about players that I should know which team they're on. I literally just watched it. Let me take a look. Yes, Thaddeus Young is on the Pacers. I am trying to keep track of everything I'm saying. We're going to move on, though. The Pacers' offensive rebounds, they were getting offensive boards all day long on the Celtics, but it did not allow them to prevail. Al Horford versus Miles Turner. This was probably the most underrated center match in the league yesterday. Al Horford, man. He just does so much. He does everything. He can shoot the three. He can shoot the mid-range. He can dunk. He can roll off the pick and roll and get an easy bucket. He can block shots. He can move on 4 positions. He can move on to the shooting guard position and guard that. He's just an all-round player. He may be able to guard 1 through 5. Al Horford is just one of those centers that you just watch and see, how is he so good at what he does? It's because he perfects his craft every so often. Every time he gets an opportunity to, he just plays with a sense of urgency, but also a sense of relaxation. He doesn't lose his cool very often either. He shoots the 3-ball well enough. And at the center position, as an undersized center, it's just amazing. It's just so cool. Miles Turner, he's a good defensive center, not so much on offense. Now, he'll shoot a 3 every so often, but that's just every so often. It's not as many as Al Horford shoots, in my opinion, anyway. Oh, man. It was just a good, underrated center matchup right there. With Kyrie Irving contesting shots and getting assists, he was just shooting contested fadeaways. He was shooting well from 3. He was just going off. And I believe his dad was in the crowd. His relatives, they were also in the crowd. They were watching him just put in work, man. Then we got Terry Rozier to end the third quarter. He was running in transition, shoots the 3-ball, gets it off at the buzzer. Just a great momentum swing going into the fourth quarter for Terry Rozier as well as the Celtics. It was a low-scoring, great defensive game. That's what I took away from it. It was just a great defensive matchup in this one. Not bad at all. A beautiful game. Now Jaylen Brown shoving Bogdanovich into Tatum. That was weird. I think it was because Bogdanovich kept on giving Jaylen Brown an elbow. I think Man, it was weird. He shoved Bogdanovich in the back and into Tatum, and Tatum was like, bro, what the heck just happened? Crazy. And Celtics outscoring Indiana in the second half, 46-29. Just an absolute barrage of points in this game. In the second half, of course, from the Boston Celtics to win this. Pacers' leading scorer was Corey Joseph with 14 points. The Celtics' multiple players were in 20 points. So, literally, the Celtics had all kinds of players in 20 points. Morris, I think, Irving, maybe even Hayward, now that I think about it. Let me take a look for you all to make sure, had Morris and Kyrie in 20 points. Jason Tatum with 15. Al Horford with 10. Not bad at all, man. Just an all-around squad performance. Hayward off the bench had 10 as well. So 35 bench scoring points in between Morris, Hayward, and Rozier. It was just a great all-around performance for the Boston Celtics, even though it was a good defensive game as well. And the Celtics win this game 84-74 to take game 1 from the Indiana Pacers. We move on to the Bucks versus the Pistons. The Milwaukee Bucks versus the Detroit Pistons. This was a absolute spanking. The Milwaukee Bucks came into this game just head over heels, wanting to smack anybody who stepped in their way. And Giannis, Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez, everybody. And this is all without Malcolm Brogdon. Now, the Pistons did not have Blake Griffin, which is an impact, is something that will affect the team morale a little bit, not having your best player on the court. But here we go. Giannis is scary in transition. If you watch the game, you do not want to get in this man's way. 6'11", long, lengthy, ripped. He can run you over in a heartbeat. He is literally the representation of Milwaukee. He is a deer. He's a running antelope, nor a deer. One of those. He will run you over. He will straight run you over. He does not care. And I noticed that the Bucks did run away with this game early. Just too much firepower on the Milwaukee Bucks, hitting from 3 with Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, Giannis even hitting a 3-pointer. It's like, once that starts happening, there's not much you can do. And I think, if I'm being honest, as soon as Malcolm Brogdon gets back, if they can play even better, they can be the title contender, because it's just one of those squads. It's had the best record in the league in the sense of, I think it was the best record in the NBA this season. Now that I think about it, 60-22. A heck of a performance from the Milwaukee Bucks, and Giannis is a runner, man. He goes up the court so fast, there's not much you can do. He just strides it out. The Blake Griffin was missed so badly for the Detroit Pistons, and when your best player on the court is Andre Drummond, you're not going far in the playoffs. I'm just going to tell you that, and they may get swept, in my opinion, but hey, you never know. For the Bucks, everyone was hitting from 3. Brook Lopez, like I said, Chris Middleton, Giannis even hit a 3. Even Eric Bledsoe hit a couple. It was just a barrage of just 3-point shooting. Eric Bledsoe, I noticed, he is crafty, man. He looks like a stocky running back. He just gets into the lane. He slashes. He shoots when he wants. He creates space for his teammates. He's just a good, underrated point guard. Not a lot of people talk about Eric Bledsoe. He is good, though. He's definitely one of those who is under the radar. The Pistons couldn't stop Giannis from getting in the paint. I saw a highlight where Giannis had an opportunity to shoot the 3. And they gave him space. He said, no, bro, I'm going in the paint no matter what you do. And he just ran straight into the paint, spun around a little bit, made the layup. And it was like, when he's doing that to you, despite you leaving him open from 3, there's not much you can do to guard him when he's in the lane. He's 6'11", man. And crafty. He's shifty. He moves with swiftness. And it's just so hard to guard him, man. He's just too good. When Giannis is hitting from 3, he is unstoppable, and he had a free throw line dunk. That was absolutely amazing. When I saw that, I'm like, man, that was just beautiful. He just stretched out. May have tweaked his ankle, because when you saw the highlight afterward, he kind of grabbed at his ankle a little bit. Andre Drummond had a hard foul on Giannis here. My opinion on this fact of the matter was he was frustrated with Giannis grabbing offensive rebounds over him. Because if you think about it, what is Andre Drummond normally known for? He's known for his defense, but he's also known for his offensive and defensive rebounds. He goes after those rebounds, and when someone other than him grabs a rebound, not on his team, he gets real frustrated, and he just shoved Giannis. I'm like, bro, what? Why, bro? Play the game. I know you're mad and frustrated because you're the best player on your team right now, but come on, man. Come on. Yeah, so the Pistons overall, they just got destroyed without Blake Griffin. It just wasn't a good game for the Detroit Pistons, especially coming into the playoffs with a 41-41 record, barely making it in. Yeah, it was a spanking. So Luke Kennard was the leading scorer for the Detroit Pistons. No clue who he is at all. But Giannis, 24 points, 17 rebounds. He just went off, man. And the Bucks win this game 121-86. Now, last but not least, we had the late game, of course. The Rockets versus the Jazz. It had a 9:30 Eastern time start. Crazy, man. Crazy. The Rockets versus the Jazz. Harden was being Harden. He was shooting the threes contested. He was getting fouled, or so he thinks he was getting fouled, because, I mean, let's be honest, the playoffs are a different animal, James. Calm down. You need to understand that you got to the free throw line a lot in the regular season, and that's not going to happen in the playoffs, and the refs are going to be officiating much differently, and he needs to just live with it. He needs to pretend about the nosebleed and everything when he's slashing and he has the fake nosebleed and all that. He needs to start continuing to do that. That may, and then get him some more calls, but it's just one of those. It's like, you did it in the regular season. Let's see if you can do it in the playoffs, which he did do it in the playoffs in the sense that in game one, he went off. What I noticed in the first round, of course, or in the first matchup of the first round in game one, was that Chris Paul, he provides another dimension, man. There are people who have to worry about him as well as Harden, as well as Clint Capella, as well as Eric Gordon. Like, when you have those weapons on your team who can score at will pretty much, even Chris Paul, he's just hitting fadeaway mid-range jumpers, slashing into the paint and kicking it out to Eric Gordon or PJ Tucker. And then Clint Capella running off the ball. This guy, man, you just cannot stop him when he backdoor cuts you from the perimeter. He's outside on the perimeter. You're not really expecting him to shoot, but you're expecting him to do something, and he just comes out of nowhere and catches an alley-oop just every time. Chris Paul passed him some. Harden passed him some. It was just an absolute barrage of dunks from Kenneth Faried and Clint Capella. They were just dunking. They were having a dunk contest out there. They were literally having a slam dunk alley-oop contest out there in between the both of them. Harden calling for fouls, but this is the playoffs, baby. You got to remember, it's not that easy. It's not that easy to get the fouls. You literally need to go head to head with a player or smacked in the face to get a foul called now, especially you, Harden. Clint Capella playing good defense and catching lobs all day long. He was catching them from everybody. Eric Gordon even threw one, I think, but please don't quote me on that. But it was just lob city out there. It was like it was the LA Clippers. It was like the LA Clippers in the past with CP3, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan. But man, just lobs all day. Rubio and Mitchell. This was one of the only few things I took away from the Utah Jazz. Ricky Rubio and Donovan Mitchell doing all they can, man. Slashing Rubio, shooting Mitchell. It was just, they could not stop the barrage of threes that the Rockets were shooting. And I hope it doesn't come back to bite them like it did last year and them just relying on the three and then missing almost all of them. Clint Capella and Faried having a dunk contest and the Rockets hitting their threes. That is scary. If you can get into the lane and lob it to your centers or power forwards, and then also shoot good from three, you are unstoppable in my eyes, especially if you're playing pretty good defense as well. We got Donovan, more of a shooter now than last year. He was a slasher and a dunker. So what I noticed about Donovan Mitchell is he has changed his game. He is a true shooting guard now. He shoots the ball at mid-range. He shoots the three ball. He changed his game entirely from last year, but I believe he kind of had to do that. Because when Kenneth Faried and Clint Capella are in the paint, you're not trying to drive in on them. Let's just be honest. Big-bodied players who block shots, you don't want to drive in on them. So it makes sense why he didn't have much of an opportunity to drive in and slash. The Rockets win in a blowout. The leading scorer for the Jazz was Rudy Gobert. Notice I didn't say anything about him. It was Rudy Gobert was the leading scorer, and it was just 22 points and 12 rebounds. Harden, though, 29 points, 10 assists, and the Rockets win by 32. 122-90. But you all, that is the end and wrapped up for Game 1's Game 2 of the matches between, let me take a look, Brooklyn and Philadelphia, Orlando and Toronto, Golden State and LA, the Denver Nuggets and the Spurs, the Trailblazers and Oklahoma City. No, that was yesterday. My apologies. It is going to be the Nuggets, Spurs. It's going to be the Warriors and the Clippers, the Magic and the Raptors, and the Nets and the 76ers. These matches are going to be Game 2 of the playoffs. So I will be back tomorrow morning with those as well. So definitely stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you all went on to enjoying it, please like and subscribe. We are at 60 subscribers, so it's awesome. I'm trying to keep up with the playoffs and inform you all if you all were interested, of course. But that is it. Thank you so much for listening. Like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace. Wow.